But she didn't hear it as a peace march. She heard it like this. She wrote this to the paper. I would ask all of you to stop and consider what your harsh words in the paper mean to a soldier in a remote location, reading his hometown newspaper and seeing such a painful lack of support for our troops. While you enjoy your holiday season, please have some compassion for those of us who won't be together for the holidays. We would prefer your prayers rather than your criticism. The very next day, Carolyn, the woman who was the leader of a lot of these anti-war protests, got in touch with Dana. And she said, I would like to invite you to join me for coffee. And I'm not going to try to change your mind. I just want to hear how you're hearing that. Because in Carolyn's mind, she meant it differently than Dana was hearing it. So Dana agreed. They got together. And for the first hour, they talked about each other. They talked about their families and their kids and their religions and their work and their schooling. And they found they had a lot in common. And so they had this personal connection being formed. And then, this is what Carolyn said. She asked Dana how she was experiencing those letters that were showing up in the newspaper. How are you experiencing these letters and the anti-war movement as a military mom? Carolyn asked, tell me. Carolyn very quickly, as she listened to Dana, realized that the peace protests needed to make the link stronger, that opposition to war is actually a support of her son. Because Dana was hearing it as against her son. And Carolyn, fighting for peace, I know that's an oxymoron, working for peace, doing this protest, she saw it completely different. She saw it as, I don't want your son to have to go there at all. I don't want your son or anybody's son to have to be put in harm's way. So I'm not against the troops. I'm trying to get it so they don't have to go and put themselves in harm's way. And so the two had this, what they thought was opposing views really wasn't that oppositional after all. They were coming at it from different ways. So the women decided to write a joint newsletter to the editor of the paper. They wrote about their different views, they wrote about their commonalities, and they talked about how their meetings stripped away the layers of assumptions and stereotypes. And this is what they wrote. We knew that we were on opposite sides and we agreed to meet for coffee. But talking felt like the right thing to do. What we both know at a very deep level is that we want Nick, that's the son, we want Nick and others like him to come home safely. We believe that our God of love is present with each one of us all the time, no matter where we are or which side of the world we're on. We will continue to respond to the current situation in the ways which we feel called to respond, but we will do so with some differences since our meeting. It is our hope that by writing this letter, we can encourage others to see that it is possible to agree to disagree without disrespect. I, Dana, the one who has the military son, will respect and understand in a new way those who want to prevent this war. I would ask them to remember our sons and daughters who are trying to do the right thing and who are risking their lives to do so. I believe our troops need to know that we love and support them, regardless of whether we support the war in which they are fighting. I, Carolyn, the anti-war woman, will continue to oppose this impending war with a new awareness of how much pain and fear and love military members and their families experience. Nick and his family and others like them will be part of my awareness in a new way as I respond to my personal call to peacemaking. I understand more deeply that at the bottom we want so many of the same things. Peace, security, and a world of promise for our children. It is these concerns that lead me to oppose this and any other war. Shortly after that was printed in the paper, they were both receiving lots of very positive responses. And Carolyn was getting ready to put on another peace rally. But before she did, she called Dana and said, "What do you think about this sign that I want to hold up at my next peace rally?" And the sign said, "Support our troops, oppose this war." Something new came out of very opposing viewpoints. Both of these women were willing to look at the other's point of view and find a common ground. That is two people looking to make a world that works for everyone. You and I can have conflict without disrespect. You and your coworkers, whoever it might be, can have opposing views. And we can also say, tell me how you see that. Tell me your point of view. Now we're living as somebody like the Dalai Lama. Now we're living with our hearts open. We may not agree. We may still be going about it our own way, but we don't have to fight or put the other down. We can see that we are all part of the one. And like my thing up on the, you don't have to go back to it, but my thing on the PowerPoint, one eye, okay, we're going to go back to it, one eye, individualized as many eyes. If we can keep this in our minds and our hearts as we move forward, we become part of the people who make this world a better place, and we make a world that works for everyone. And I'm going to read with one last thing. It's called A Prayer for Common Ground. I'm going to invite you to close your eyes. And then I'll just go right into my own personal prayer afterwards. Today, may I be open to others' ideas and beliefs, respectful of our differences, not threatened by them. May I grow in understanding of my own motives, knowing that people often act out of their own fears. May I be a force for replacing fear with insight, helping us all to be patient and kind as we talk. Strength, real strength, can always find compromise. Working together, may we find a common ground. Enable us to move forward with a shared purpose. May we see what is truly important and what unites us, focusing on that to banish roadblocks of ego and fear. Today, may I be open to others' ideas and beliefs. And I turn within to my understanding of the God that is. It's the understanding of one source where love already exists, peace already exists, intelligence already exists, and oneness is already the truth. I realign my thinking and my heart once again with this truth. Oneness already exists. I speak my word for me and for all of us that from this day forward we begin to get our egos out of the way. We allow our fears to melt. We banish competitiveness for the earth's resources. That we allow those doubts and fears to subside and eventually dissolve into nothingness so that we may be part of a world that works for everyone. I know for each of us that we have the ability to listen, to ask, to understand. And even when we don't understand, that there is a place in us that says, I know there is only one I, one God, with a whole lot of individualized eyes. Oneness is already our truth. And I speak the word for all of us that we know this today better than we ever have. I'm grateful to speak this word. I'm grateful for the common ground that we stand on. And I'm grateful to be part of co-creating a world that works for everyone. And with this gratitude, I release this prayer into the spiritual law that knows exactly what to do with it. And so I let go. And so